out brass buttons. If he saw the state of Taratupa, Binghamton would be lucky to spend the rest of the war scrubbing decks in the Aleutians. "I'm sick, Carpenter," Binghamton whispered, his eyes widening with a sudden devious spark. "Terribly sick. If I'm sick, I can appoint an acting base commander to face the Admiral, and I know just the man. Someone I want to see destroyed. Someone whose career I want to watch go up in smoke right in front of the Admiral's cold, dead eyes. Not Julian. Not Nini." Carpenter guessed. "McHale!" Binghamton roared with glee. "With Quinton McHale and his band of cutthroats in charge, they'll run wild. They'll turn this base into a circus, and Rafferty will have them all court-martialed by sunset." Binghamton collapsed onto a nearby cot, faking a faint that would have made a Victorian lady proud. "Call the medic. I'm paying. Oh, Carpenter, I'm really going to pay." Chapter 2. Commander Snookums and the Sultan's Sword. While Binghamton was busy dying in the infirmary, the crew of the PT-73 was engaged in their favorite pastime: making money and avoiding work. Lieutenant Commander Quinton McHale was a saltwater skipper through and through, a man who treated naval regulations as mere suggestions. When the news hit that McHale was now the acting base commander, the island underwent a transformation. Within 2 hours, the business of war became the business of leisure. "Skip, you can't be serious," McHale said, staring at his new desk. "I'm a boat skipper. I'm no good behind a desk." "It's an order, McHale." Binghamton groaned from his deathbed, while secretly sipping a cold lemonade when no one was looking. "And I'm appointing your Ensign Parker as your executive officer." Ensign Charles Parker, a man who could trip over a flat surface, stood at attention, his hat crooked. "You won't regret this, Captain." Binghamton grinned. "I know I won't." The chaos began immediately. With the captain incapacitated, a diplomatic crisis arrived in the form of the Sultan of Marami and his 3 beautiful daughters. The Sultan was a man of immense pride and even more immense wealth, and his visit was supposed to be a feather in the cap for Taratupa. McHale, trying to balance the duties of a base commander while keeping his crew from selling the base's fuel, found himself hosting a royal dinner. However, his crew, specifically Gruber and Virgil, had other plans. They had invited some local hula dancers to liven up the atmosphere. "The party is over," McHale hissed as he burst into the petty officers' club, only to find a full-blown luau in progress. "Iron Pants Rafferty is on his way here for an inspection. If he sees these girls, we're all dead." "But Skip," Gruber pleaded, "the girls have nowhere to go." "Put them in the air raid shelter," McHale ordered. "Quick, move it." Just as the hula dancers were tucked away, the Admiral's jeep screeched to a halt. Admiral Rafferty stepped out, his eyes like 2 pieces of flint. "McHale, where is Binghamton?" "In the hospital, sir." Hallucinations, combat fatigue. Binghamton, however, wasn't staying down. He had snuck out of the hospital in a seaman's uniform. Determined to catch McHale in the act, he burst into the scene, pointing wildly at the air raid shelter. "Admiral, you have to see the shelter. There are girls in there. Hula girls. Makhale is running an orgy." The Admiral looked at the shelter. The door opened. Out stepped Ensign Parker, carrying a stack of emergency rations, which were actually jars of peanut butter. "Girls, Captain?" Rafferty asked, his voice low and dangerous. "I see a bumbling ensign. I think McHale is right. You've lost your mind, Binghamton. Back to the hospital." Now, Binghamton was dragged away, screaming about grass skirts, while McHale wiped the sweat from his brow. Chapter 3. The Chemistry of Laughter. A week later, the threat of a fitness board loomed over Ensign Parker. Binghamton, having recovered from his hallucinations, was determined to break Parker down to seaman second class. "The man is an imbecile," Binghamton shouted at the crew. He torpedoed a garbage scow because he thought it was a midget sub camouflaged with potato peels. The crew knew they had to save their favorite. If clumsy, officer. "We need to jolly him up," McHale suggested. "If Leadbottom is in a good mood, he might cancel the hearing." "How are we gonna do that, Skip?" Willie asked. Even an undertaker couldn't put a smile on his face. "Laughing gas." Mikhail whispered. Compliments of the base dentist. The plan was simple. They would lure Binghamton to his office and blast him with a tank of nitrous oxide. Then, while he was giggling his head off, they'd get him to sign the cancellation papers. The operation was a symphony of absurdity. As the gas filled the room, Binghamton's frown began to twitch. Within minutes, the terrifying captain was doubling over, pointing at Parker's face. "Chucky Wucky!" Binghamton howled with laughter. "You torpedoed a garbage scow." "Oh, that's a riot. The potato peels. I love it. Sir, will you sign this?" Parker asked, holding out the papers. "Sign it? I'll frame it." Binghamton giggled. But as the gas wore off, the captain's rage returned with a vengeance. He realized he'd been duped. He chased Mikhail and Parker out of the office with a heavy wrench, screaming about frangipani flies and sabotage. The chaos was only interrupted by the arrival of the actual fitness board, led by Admiral Shoemaker. But the timing was perfect. An actual air raid siren went off. Amidst the confusion, Parker, still slightly high on the lingering gas, manned a 5.0 caliber machine gun, and while laughing like a maniac, managed to accidentally shoot down a Japanese Zero that was wandering too close. "Heroic," Shoemaker declared, pinning a medal on a confused Parker, standing in the face of death with a laugh on his lips. "Binghamton, how could you want to discharge such a man?" Binghamton, unable to explain the laughing gas without looking like a fool, simply stared at the ceiling and whispered, "Why me? Why is it always me?" Chapter 4. The Ghost of PT-13. Binghamton's next plot involved a bit of psychological warfare. He decided to transfer the 73 crew to a legendary jinxed boat, the PT-13. According to naval legend, the 13 was haunted, having lost 3 crews to mysterious explosions. "I'm sending you up to conflict as couriers," Binghamton told Mikhail, hiding a smirk. On the 13 boat, the crew was terrified. Even Mikhail felt a chill. They decided they had to outghost the captain. That night, as Binghamton sat in his shack, gloating over his genius, the lights began to flicker. A low, moaning sound echoed through the jungle. "Ho, ho, ho," a voice boomed. "Who's there?" Binghamton squeaked. "We are the ghosts of PT-13. A figure in a glowing white sheet appeared in the window. It looked suspiciously like Gruber standing on Parker's shoulders. "We've come for you, Wally. You sent us to the grave." "Mikhail, I know it's you," Binghamton yelled, though his teeth were chattering. Suddenly, Admiral Rafferty, actually a cleverly disguised Virgil, appeared, floating, thanks to some well-hidden wires. "Binghamton, the transfers, they are a sin. Give them back to the living." Binghamton, terrified by the supernatural visitation, handed over the transfer papers through the window. "Take them. Just leave me alone." The next morning, when Macaulay showed up with the papers, Binghamton tried to claim he'd been robbed, but the crew simply smiled. "Gosh, Captain, sounds like you had another one of those hallucinations. Maybe we should call the Admiral back?" Binghamton shut up. Chapter 5. The $62,000 payroll peril. The ultimate test of the PT-73's luck came during a trip to New Caledonia. Binghamton, in a rare moment of trust, which was actually a setup, ordered Parker to pick up the base payroll, $62,000, in small, unmarked bills. "Saloon Road, Parker," Binghamton had instructed. "Take the shortcut past the gambling casino and the racetrack." Binghamton was certain Parker would be robbed, giving him the perfect excuse to court-martial the entire crew for gross negligence. True to form, Parker was distracted by a girl's ankle, specifically a girl with a heart-shaped birthmark on her right ankle. He was knocked unconscious, and the money vanished. $62,000. Mikhail gasped when he found a weeping Parker. "Chuck, Lead Bottom is gonna have us all, in front of a firing squad." The crew turned into detectives. They scoured the bars and bistros of New Caledonia, looking for the girl with the heart-shaped ankle. The search involved a lot of lifting of tablecloths and very angry French waiters. "I found her, Skip!" Gruber shouted, pointing to a slender brunette ducking into a shady-looking warehouse. The chase was on. It led through a series of narrow alleys and ended at a local carnival. The thieves